we have a banjo lesson going on in the background, but we got some really good news today, and I really want to make sure you hear about it. And it has to do with gun violence, which is a subject that's close to probably most of our hearts. This morning, the Biden administration announced a new rule which is going to greatly improve our background check system. And this rule, if it's implemented in a month, is going to eliminate something called the gun show loophole. If you work in gun violence prevention, this is a really big deal. Gun show loophole basically just allows the sale of firearms outside of gun stores without a background check from unlicensed dealers. By the way, the ATF announced just last week that 41% of gun trafficking cases involve unlicensed dealers. So the rule was issued under provisions of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which I will remind you, President Biden and Democrats got passed with some tiny bit of bipartisan support from a few Republicans in 2022. This bill has already reduced gun violence in this country by 12%. When people say to you, "What has Biden done for me?" one thing you can tell them is that Biden has maybe stopped you or someone you love from being killed by a gunshot. So that's a thing. So what does this rule exactly do? Well, it just requires anyone who sells guns for profit to have a license. That seems reasonable, right? And that buyers be subject to a background check. Now, this is something that about 86% of Americans support, including most gun owners. And this will include things like buying your gun at a firearm show or at a flea market, because apparently buying guns at a flea market is a thing. This loophole has allowed unlicensed dealers to sell guns also out of their home, online, at at a lemonade stand, wherever they want. This new rule is the most sweeping expansion of firearms background checks in decades and decades and decades. It's going to apply to more than 20,000 people who are engaged in unlicensed gun dealing, and according to the administration, is going to affect tens and tens of thousands of gun sales each year. It's really fitting that this is happening around the anniversary, the 25th anniversary, by the way, of Columbine, the Columbine shooting, because that shooter used a gun that had been purchased using this loophole that the Biden administration is about to close. These are the kinds of things that make our quality of life better. We can feel safer. We can feel a little happier. We can pursue that happiness that we're supposed to be pursuing because we're not as scared of going out and getting shot at school or the market or the movies or all of the other places that Americans are now afraid. This is a huge deal. Say what you like about President Biden. He's the only president in my lifetime to get anything like this done. I'm going to celebrate it, and I hope you will too, and also spread the word.